What up? What up? It's your boy Conserviz 34. I'm back again with another Saturday night stream. Thank you guys for coming in. For those who come in, shout out to everyone, watching on the replay that may not have been able to make this live. We are going to talk some Dave Matthews Band Summer Tour, where I was wrong, and I will admit I was 100% wrong about the band because I thought they weren't going to tour until at best the winter, if that. We'll talk about some of the stuff we still need to know, and we're going to talk about the first song. In a little bit, we'll talk a little bit about Ticketmaster and just my strategy for you guys if you guys need to buy tickets, given what's going on with the market. If you have tickets, keep them. If you can't make the show, sell them right now. I'll tell you that. Someone will buy them. But we're going to talk a little bit about that. But excited to be back. Excited to really have a better setup here, although you guys may not be able to see it. Got a brand new desk last week and a brand new chair. Your boy was for a while had a kitchen table, a chair here, and it was not comfortable. And finally just decided to upgrade and get a desk and a real computer chair, and it's a lot more comfortable than the previous setup. Definitely say what up on the chat. Ron from Colorado, how's it going? And actually, Red Rocks, speaking of Colorado, Red Rocks. Oh, Typical Times. What's up? Yep, from Twitter. Yep. And what's going to be interesting, too, is as we wait for people to come in, Red Rocks they had their first show, right, this weekend, but they have shows like Humphreys McGee that are not on sale yet, and they're going to get a rain check on how many tickets they can sell. With the announcement of acts like Luke Bryant, Dave Matthews Band, Chris Stapleton, and many others having full venue shows for July, August, September, October, November, Red Rocks could see shows like the Humphreys McGee shows in June have a higher capacity. And that's good news, because Red Rocks, when you only have 2,000 people and it's a destination venue for everyone out west at the bare minimum, right? And you have people that will fly out from the East Coast here. And I know people have done that for bands, like whether it's at Red Rocks, whether it's at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. And I know when Fish was out there, people from the East Coast, including someone I grew up with here in my hometown, they went out there even on a whim without tickets just to try to get, just to try to be out there for that destination show. So great to see that Red Rocks will look to increase their capacity for shows in June, July, August. Some of the shows are set, but some shows may expand, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, so I am planning to go to some Dave shows, and I'll get into that tonight. I am definitely going to the 2 Mohegan Sun shows. Without a doubt, I have tickets. I am looking at going to the Gorge. I booked a hotel with free cancellation. Yeah, and that's now. Here's the thing. I loved Government Mule, and I'm actually seeing Government Mule here in Connecticut, a socially distant show in a couple Sundays from now. I loved Mule, and I loved the other opener, Lettuce, which I'd known about well before, but I had never seen them live. And actually, Mule, I never saw them live, but I had seen Warren live with different iterations, the Allman Brothers Band, and some other stuff. But Robert Randolph, now look, they're talented, but Robert Randolph, I'll get to that a little later, but I was hoping the Flecktones were going to be able to join them. But I may go to the Gorge just because it's this may be the year to do it for me personally, to go back again now, and then, hey, if I can't make it next year, at least I went this year. Just a lot of things going on. Who else is on? Say hi if you came on. I saw someone came on and came out. But say what up if you are on. What I'm gonna do is get started with my agenda, and feel free to comment in, Ron, and anyone else. Feel free to add in comments, thoughts, opinions. I hope to get back. We used to have 5, 6, 7, 8 people on with me and had great conversations. And I know things have changed. The pandemic has changed things, and it's hard when I took about a year and a half off from this because of some YouTube changes where they wouldn't allow me to stream from my phone, and then my computers died, and my makeshift computer wasn't working, and I finally got this nice computer. All right, so first thing we want to start off with is, as I've said, and people have reminded me, I was definitely wrong about DMB and what they were going to do in 2021. I did not buy that they were going to play in the summer. I thought at best you'd have a winter tour, if that. And here's why. This is what happened at the beginning of 2021. As I was awaiting to see how things were going to play out, as I was monitoring a lot of the different regulations for crowds for professional sports, because that was going to be an indicator of what we would see for concerts potentially. Beginning of the year, mid-tier acts, so Government Mule, Humphreys McGee, Pigeons Playing Ping Pong, Tedeschi Trucks Band is in between that mid-tier and a little bit higher. They started booking dates with socially distant floor plans. And this was up in Connecticut where I am, where we actually, I have to give credit to the promoters here in Connecticut. They had a farm last year that I went to a Warren Haynes, Danny Lewis show, and then they got a former tennis center. It's been converted into a music venue. It still had, it's called the Westville Music Bowl. And so you had shows in Connecticut, in North Carolina, in Florida, from regardless of even when the mask mandates were lifted, and Florida has been open for a while. Even so, these bands, these mid-tier acts said, listen, we are going to tour the country, but even in a Texas, even in a Florida, we are having socially distant shows. This started at the beginning of the year, and it continued through the last couple of weeks, where Tedeschi Trucks Band, which we'll get to in a second, made a decision. So my mindset was, these are the acts that need to tour more than DMB does, because they don't get as much revenue from their masters, from their streaming, from their merchandise. They had to tour some way, and they said, look, we're doing socially distant shows through most of the year, through the fall. The next domino was that large stadium shows got canceled or moved to 2021. Taylor Swift canceled her tour. Kenny Chesney moved his tour to 2022. And my mindset was, okay, hey, Granny, what's up? Sandra Jones, good to see you. And we're just talking about how I was actually wrong. And it's, the hardest words for a man to admit to anyone, I'm sure Sandra, is, I was wrong. No, I was kidding. I'm kidding. But the hardest words to say is, I was wrong. Sometimes I stutter. You were right. Honey, you were right. Dear, you were right. Mom, you were right. Mom, I should have listened to you. Anyway, I kid. But so we had the mid-tier acts were doing socially distant shows, and then we had the larger stadium acts. Taylor Swift cancels, Kenny Chesney moves to 2022. So my mindset is this: from a pandemic standpoint, Dave Matthews, Stephon Lassard, they are on the same page with Taylor Swift and Kenny Chesney. They were not in Nashville like Kid Rock saying, look, I'm gonna play these whatever I can play. They were very cautious. They were encouraging people to get the vaccination. They were encouraging people to wear masks. And we're not going to debate vaccine or not. That's your personal choice. But the mindset of some of the celebrity musicians like Dave Matthews, Kenny Chesney, Taylor Swift, and many others, Trey Anastasio, Fish, they were telling people, look, we believe in this vaccine. We're going to get vaccinated. We're not going to jump the line. And Stephon just got vaccinated, his first shot, like this past week. So they also weren't trying to use their celebrity status to get a vaccination early. Dave was vaccinated, but you got to remember, Dave is in Washington and Virginia. Stephon is in California, and California is a state where you have so many people. Dead & Company, I've heard rumors of a Dead & Company from sources. Dead & Company may play this fall. They definitely are playing in Mexico in 2022. They actually have 2 weekends of shows. But Dead & Company, there's rumors they're going to have a fall tour. Previously, I had heard that everything was set to 2022, but that has changed. John Mayer even said that. And shout out to the people I know from the Grateful Dead community. They've welcomed me in, even though I'm a newcomer. I did not start listening to the Grateful Dead with consistency until the Fare Thee Well. When that tour was, when the final shows in Chicago and San Fran were going on, and they have never mocked me or made fun of me. They've just encouraged me. I've been to shows and people have been so open and say, oh, listen to this. Or if you like gospel, you like this, listen to Jerry Garcia's these songs from Jerry Garcia Band. But Dead & Company is projected to have a fall tour potentially. It's still, again, I know some people there. Right. And Ron says the same thing. Typical Time says, he started watching when John Mayer joined. And that's the thing is too, when Mayer started playing covers, that was my first oh, this is a Dead song. This is cool. I had listened to the Dead before, but it takes time. I'm just getting into Fish this past week, and I've tried to get into Fish 2 or 3 other times. But anyway, Dead & Company is projected to be fall of this year. They're trying to put something together. They're confirmed for 2022, playing in the Sand, just like Dave and Tim do Mexico. The same setup, same venue. The full Dead & Company band is set to go. And actually, O'Teal, the bassist of Dead & Company, look at my poster behind me, the Allman Brothers Band. I saw him when he was with the Allman Brothers Band. O'Teal is doing shows in Florida. He's doing a second night of one of his all-star bands. So anyway, so as I was saying, the mindset of the people who had delayed their touring to 2022 or canceled their shows like Taylor Swift, that was the same mindset of the band. And then this is what happened. I went live as Tedeschi Trucks set up a socially distant tour for 21 and moved their full 100% capacity shows to 2022 last week. And then recently, Chris Stapleton, shortly after, announced in the same venue, Guilford, New Hampshire. Here's the thing. Within the last couple of weeks, Tedeschi Trucks Band says, look, we're going to Guilford, but all the shows for 2021 are moved to 2022. We're selling new tickets for a socially distanced show and a limited lineup of Tedeschi Trucks, a full band and an ensemble. They have singers, brass players, basses, guitar, keys / organ. They're saying only a certain part of the band is going to be there. Obviously, Susan and Derek are going to be there, but only a part of the band is going to be there, more intimate type of campfire type setup. And this is Guilford, New Hampshire is one of the venues they set this up for. And then recently, at the beginning of this week, Chris Stapleton announced at the same Guilford, New Hampshire tour stop and the rest of all of his touring, hey, we're playing a 100% capacity tour starting in July. So in July of 2021, you're going to have, before DMB announced and the rumors came out Wednesday to Thursday, Monday and Tuesday of this week, I was like, okay, we have Chris Stapleton having a full capacity show in mid-July. in Tedeschi Trucks Band having a socially distanced show in mid-July. And these tours are going to take off the runway in July. And then at some point, both of these tours are going to go across the country, one socially distanced, one full capacity in the amphitheaters. And then around Wednesday, really, I found out Thursday is when I started really seeing credible people in the Ants Marching forums and some other places online say, hey, we're hearing there's sources that are 95% right, that are really on point. We're hearing they're going to tour in 2021, and SPAC is going to be moved to August. Like, that was the big thing. SPAC is there, it's going to be going down. And once that happened, I pretty much knew that the band was going to tour. And I knew that, all right, look, what I thought is not going to come to fruition. And then, yeah, it did come. It really came out of nowhere. Now, Guilford, here's the thing is we did have a warning sign. Guilford, New Hampshire, I had a video a couple weeks ago. Guilford, New Hampshire, Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion was saying they were trying to reschedule the DMB shows and an announcement would be in a couple weeks. But to me, I didn't want to trust Ticketmaster or Live Nation or any Live Nation affiliated venue like Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion because they have taken major losses. They have had investors. I think it's Saudi or overseas investors try to save this company. They took over a lot of the ownership of Live Nation last year when things hit rock bottom. So to me, I didn't really take anything the venue was going to say or Live Nation was going to say with the grain of salt. When they said concerts by midsummer, I thought they were just trying to push the stock price and save face, and they may have. But I think what's happened is over the last couple of weeks, I can speak for Connecticut, which has been a very cautious state over this entire pandemic. All of a sudden, they're like, hey, we got to open these businesses up. This is not going to be great. We got to get these restaurants. They can do whatever they want. If they want to open up at 100% in a couple of weeks, they can do that, I believe. So things started to change. The quarantine stuff, the quarantine procedures. I just left the state of Connecticut about a week and a half ago. And technically, I didn't have to quarantine. I got the vaccination too, but I still did it. I didn't go to work because I want to take my 10 days of quarantine at least. And then I'm going to look to go back to work on Monday. I work from home here, right, as you're looking at me. And that's why you saw me do the live streams from here. On my lunch break, I was able to go live for DMB. But the thing is, like, they're really not there was never real enforcement, but the real, like, language on the websites for travel, CDC, and for your local government websites, that stuff is starting to dissipate. The planes are now, the middle seats that were being blocked off are being opened up. And here we are. We have a tour. Now, so the Union Halls have been booked out in Indianapolis or Indiana. And, but yes, so here's where I don't want to say the tour is still not going to happen. But so I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to Deer Creek yet. I may have to push it till next year because my whole idea was I wasn't planning to go anywhere this year except a vacation during Gorge weekend anyway. I was gonna be like, look, I'm gonna do some type of vacation. But I may have to move Deer Creek. I do want to get out to there. And I'll talk about ticket prices, and that's going to be another big thing. I do want to go to a bunch of shows, but if I'm going to the Gorge, I'm not going to Deer Creek. Now, if I don't go to the Gorge, I may look to go to Deer Creek, but I would rather, most likely, I probably will try to get tickets through the warehouse next year for Deer Creek, and then just plan a vacation out there next year. Oh, really? I'll message you if I decide to go. And I'll pay the face value. I'll pay over face. We can message that if there's seats. But anyway, so what my concern is, we do not have any sort of guidelines on what we can do at these venues. Like, for instance, think about a DMB show. A couple things that are guarantees. Oh, he's coming out. That's awesome. So Chef Jim, really nice dude on Twitter and a charitable man as well, which is awesome. So two things happen: people smoke and people drink in the venue, right? And that's a huge money. Well, obviously they don't, they can't. Pretty soon, who knows? They may be in the green friendly states. You may start to see some of the Jimmy thing be sold at live. I mean, I don't think people are going to buy that from a Live Nation dispensary. They're probably going to bring their own. But anyway, alcohol is a big profit producer for these shows. Are we going to be able to drink? And here's the thing: if you have, and this is just, I'm not saying like we shouldn't be able to smoke. Look, I think people should be able to do that if they please. And I'll be tailgating myself. So anyway, I'm gonna still have a good time. But if you have a crowd, and this is what the other thing that was making me, it's like, what are we gonna do? What's gonna be the rules? If you have a crowd of a sold out Deer Creek, close to 20,000 people, or anywhere, 15, 16, 17,000 people, there's not gonna be enough police security to say, hey, put your mask back on. Now, I went to a socially distanced show for Warren Haynes and Danny Lewis. For that show, because you have pods and there's 1,500 people. Oh, there's 30K. Okay, sorry. So 30K. Right. So that's closer to Hartford. Hartford gets, we don't sell out anymore. Deer Creek gets more sales than Hartford because it's still a popular, it's got a bigger pull of fans, where Hartford people don't go as much. Because there's so many other options, and the market itself doesn't like DMB like it used to. But anyway, so you have 30K people. But in a socially distanced show, I saw kids yelling or talking and taking their mask off, and the attendants were able to easily, with 1,500 people, they were able to tell them, hey, get your kids under control. There was someone yelling. I'm like, I wanted to say something to them, but thankfully someone came out, because it's 1,500 people, right? That's not a lot of people, but 30K, yeah, in mass on the ground, that's going to be disgusting. But here's the thing: I believe that you're going to be able to drink. I believe they're not going to enforce the marijuana thing too much, especially because, it's just one of those things. They allow it anyway. They know people are sneaking it in. They don't want the hard drugs, the heroin, all that other stuff, the coke, all that stuff. That stuff's going to be enforced. But they don't care about marijuana, because people who smoke, they're not causing trouble. They're actually the better people in the venue. The people who drink and don't know how to control themselves are the problems. But they need to make money with alcohol. So I really don't think a mask mandate, liquor, in the Jimmy Greenery, I really don't think they can enforce any of that. And then Granny's saying, okay, so John's here. What up, John? Right, and people aren't wearing masks. I just went to Virginia Beach. People aren't wearing masks. And even out here in Connecticut, on the walking and jogging trails, people aren't wearing masks. And I'm fully vaccinated, and I'm gonna be honest. Like, when I go running, I'm not going. So, John, what we're talking about now is, they're not going to, I really don't think they can enforce any law, any guidelines at these shows as far as mask mandates. They're not going to be able to enforce marijuana, nor do they ever do that. Turn to no mask. And they're not, and I believe they're going to sell alcohol, because that's such a profit maker for them. A lot of these shows, 13 shows, and John, you're going to complain about half of them when you have crap set lists. Anyway, so that's John. He goes to all these shows, and you're like, yeah, John, I told you they're not gonna play. This isn't 2004. Okay. I'm not going to 13 shows, 3/4 of the tour. Jesus. But anyway, what are the guidelines? And here's the thing: are they gonna have you take a PCR test or a rapid test? Because this is the thing that before I start making travel plans, This is what sports are doing. You have to have like to get to the Barclays Center, to get to Yankee Stadium. At least here in the Northeast, New York State is saying you have to have a negative COVID test. And what I think they're going to have, if you don't have a vaccination, you're going to have to take that test. Or if you're vaccinated, you're good to go in. But I mean, it's either going to be that or it's going to be basically they're not going to do anything. And it's already hard enough to get into venues because of the post 9/11 security, rightfully so. I don't want no goons coming in this thing. Right. I want them patting down people for guns and for other stuff because people wild out. So I want them doing that. But on top of that, to have, hey, have you been out of this? Have you been here? Have you been infected with anyone? Like that type of questioning you get. My church has opened up and they do that questioning. But again, it's socially distanced and there's only a certain amount of people. To do that for 15, 20,000 people, people are going to be pissed. They're going to be people yelling in the SPAC line. Hey, hurry the frick up about the, stop asking these questions and let us in. I don't think temperature checks logistically are going to work. So, okay, the vaccination status thing. I mean, I don't want to go too deep into that. I'm fine with it. I'm fine proving. I mean, if that I'm vaccinated, I've reached my 2 weeks period with my vaccine. I'm fine with showing my card. I know some people aren't, right? But I'm fine, especially if it gets me in the freaking venue. If I don't have to show a negative test, now if I don't have to get questions asked, I want to show my card. Here it is. Get me in the venue so I can be with everyone and be happy in the venue. Your green card. Yeah. You are, just full disclosure, she is a legal American citizen. She's talking about the COVID card. She is not on a work visa. She was born in the USA. But that's the thing is, and this is the other thing that, look, I don't know how knee-jerk these states will be, but you look at Washington. This is why I'm concerned with going to Washington State, even though, like I said, most likely I'm still going. But Washington State, their governor has been kind of knee-jerky. If they start getting like another wave, because people are traveling to Washington all summertime to go hiking, to go exploring the beaches, to go to Seattle and all the fanfare in Seattle. Who knows? Jay Inslee may just be like, oh, we're shutting down the gorge. I really hope it doesn't come down to that. I think with the vaccinations, it'll decrease the likelihood. Because I'll tell you this, if you live down south, you're probably not seeing spikes like up in the north. There's something about the northern states and the colder weather that we see these spikes. We see these spikes, and I mean, they come. Like we're in Florida, it's like, oh, they have the most amount of case, but people aren't. It's like it's not as bad in Florida. Like the deaths and the hospitalizations up north, it's just different, and I think it has to do with the air, and the ability to be outside. But I mean, a governor could start freaking out and pull stuff, but I don't think they're gonna do. It'll be a last resort. But I am concerned because some of these governors are just, boom, they're trying to get stuff. They're trying to pull the plug on stuff, or we got to go back. And I think here we want to talk about the tour. I think Canada was canceled because Canada's got big issues. I don't know if you guys know. They're like they went back into lockdowns in Ontario. Like Canada always talks about America being bad. Canada can't make up their mind, and Canada can't get these vaccines. But I'm pretty sure that's why they canceled Canada, because, for instance, they had a Women's World Cup matchup in Nova Scotia. And also they had a rugby championship, and they just canceled these events like hours before they were approved to go. Like the night before, they were like, yeah, all right, everyone can come into town. We're going to start these things this weekend. And then like the next morning, they're like, oh, no, we have cold feet. Sorry, this is canceled. You're canceled. You're canceled. You're canceled. They were handing out cancellations to everything. So, so yeah, Drake needs the six guy. Drake needs to get some vaccines, or let's hand him the J&J because apparently people don't trust the J&J, which I took and I'm fine. And I think that it's a very rare thing. But they need to get them these extra J&Js over to Canada because I don't know what's going on, but these provinces are just shutting down. They're not creating clear rules with their people, and it's a mess. So I think that's why they canceled Canada. And but we'll see what happens. Now the next thing here, I'm look, if I do not want the first song in Raleigh, North Carolina to be Hello Again. I'm sorry. That is cheesy. I know some people want to hear it. If they play it, good for you, right? Please stop pushing the band to play Hello Again as the first song post COVID. Okay? Please. It's so cliche. It's an alright song, but it's not one of the best songs. I'd rather hear A Dream So Real or Pig or The Stone or Joyride or Drunken Soldier or JTR. I'm sorry, Granny. I don't want to hear Hello Again on the series if it's on Sirius XM. International tours, I don't think international tours are coming until 2022. The vaccinations aren't there. Europe's going back into lockdowns. The AstraZeneca vaccine overseas, they keep pulling it and bringing it back, and they pull it and they bringing it back. Yeah, Dreaming Tree, right? I don't want to hear Hello Again. I don't want to hear Hello Again as the first one. They can play it in the tour. I don't care. But I'd rather have a better song. Like A Dream So Real would be a great, I mean, it's probably not going to happen, but Seek Up, Joyride, even Singing from the Windows, right? Which was that was the quarantine song for Dave. Drunken Soldier, right? Come on, like, I don't want, you never know, right? Hello Again. I'm sorry. I just don't want to hear. It's just I don't want it to be the first song back if I had the chance, but it's probably going to be That Girl Is You. Will we get a Grace Street third verse? I have no idea, John. Someone has to trick Dave or there is in the new album. We'll have to see when that's announced and what comes out. I'm sure they're going to road test some songs, but I hope they pull everything from Come Tomorrow. They'll probably play one or two songs a night from Come Tomorrow, but I really would hope they would just can Come Tomorrow. Jimmy thing, nah, I don't want. This is why I like the old school Jimmy thing. The new school Jimmy thing to me is not close to the old school. Yeah, I'm not a fan of That Girl Is You either. That should be just banned. Like just like they let go of a lot of the Away From the World songs that were trash. I would not like That Girl Is You. She they need to just get canceled. All right. Someone needs to find dirt on them from when they were developed and they like said something offensive to someone, and we need to cancel those songs. They need to be canceled because they're horrible songs. They're just horrible songs. They don't have the lasting appeal to be played online. Idea of You, I mean, I wouldn't mind that being. I'd rather have it before Hello Again. That's just my personal opinion. Is that I think that I don't want Hello Again. It's too cliche. All right, that's I really. Well, That Girl's You a Preservation Hall. Yeah, I mean it's better, but that's the only time it should be played. If Preservation Hall Jazz Band is not on stage, that song should never be played again. It just to me, it's not like if that was the girl, if I was that girl, right? Putting myself in the perspective of the woman, that's not a good song, right? Where if I'm the girl being told here on out, of course I'd love that song. I'll back you up. That's a great song to tell a woman. But That Girl Is You is just it goes nowhere. That's the thing is it goes nowhere, right? It goes absolutely nowhere. But I mean, we'll see what happens with the new tour. I mean, the new songs that they may bust out. Satellite's your most seen song. You thought that girl is you as a guitar? Yeah, I mean it's like da da dun dun. Am I in tune? Check check da da dun dun da da dun dun. This is boring, going nowhere. Check 1 2. Is it? Am I on? Oh, I'm sharp. All right, da da dun dun da da dun dun. And then like yeah, I just that girl is you. Get out of here. Get out of here. She same thing. She is a bootleg. It's a bootleg wannabe Pearl Jam grunge song. Let Pearl Jam do that. Do that. I don't like that. What's that? TSTJL? Oh, the song that Jane likes. Okay. Um, I've grown to like that song a little more, and I actually like the animations they do with it. Um, I mean, still, I would take it over Hello Again. I pretty much take a lot over Hello Again, outside of some of the songs I don't like. Sister, they'll play Sister. It'll probably be in an encore somewhere. Um, I mean, it's probably going to be on the tour. Yeah, the opener. Yeah, the opener. I don't. Yeah, DMB Mamas. I don't want. I really don't want Hello Again as the opener. It's too cliche and it's too cheesy. I period. I don't want it. I really don't want it. Oh, that's as the fan that Jane. Okay, that makes sense. So that's your name on Twitter. Okay, yeah, Sledgehammer. Let's be. Oh, I would love Two Step would be a nice opener too. And some of the most iconic shows in DMB history have started with Two Step, including that St. Louis show. Great opener. Yeah, Sledgehammer needs to be canceled. And I love Peter Gabriel, and I actually loved Sledgehammer when I was first saw it in 2014. I loved it, but it's just the last couple of years I've gotten sick of it. Yeah, it's a bathroom song. Now, depending on if I've had a couple of adult beverages, I do enjoy singing Sledgehammer, which I did SPAC night too a couple years ago. I was just doing I was wilding out. Pay attention. I was wilding out during that song, and I love the Peter Gabriel version. And I actually get extremely triggered when DMB fans say the DMB version is better than the Peter Gabriel version. I mean, I love Blackbird too, Beatles song, and actually, I remember learning Blackbird on the guitar, and it was like one of those songs. Like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is awesome that I can play this song. Like, it just was one of those. There's certain songs that I've learned on guitar. I'm like, yes, I can play this song. I can play it over and over forever. And they've covered Blackbird before. Sweet Caroline. Listen, and this is the thing. I live in Connecticut. I'm a diehard Yankees fan that goes to Fenway Park every season, except last season and this upcoming season. I've been every year from 2011 to 2019. I go to Fenway for Yankees Red Sox at least once, if not 2 or 3 times a year. I do not like Sweet Carolina just because it has been played so much over the years. Maybe if I didn't hear it as much, I didn't hear it as much. Like, but it is a good. It's a song. It's a party song. It's a party song for sure. Long Black Veil is a great one, and I kept catching that song for a bunch of times. Singing Through the Windows, I wouldn't mind it as an opener, just because that's been like the emotional song of this whole thing. Again, I would either have it over Hello Again, and I'm interested to see how that song plays out with the full band, or if Dave just plays it solo. I'm pretty sure it's going to be full band, but Singing Through the Windows, I'm interested to see how it is full band, because what makes it so great is acoustically, it's a beautiful song because you can, hear Dave's guitar. You know that whole hear Dave's guitar thing. I'm pro hearing Dave's guitar there. Now, let's talk about Ticketmaster. And this is where, okay, so we have Ticketmaster, we have the warehouse, you have anything that you wanted to be saved, you don't want to refund, you keep it. Oh yeah, they're definitely going to reference the people lost from COVID-19. I think they're going to do it. It may not be Why I Am, it may be another song. Why I Am is more of just, that's the Leroy tribute, period. I don't think they'll do that. They'll do that for YM. It's going to be another song, but they'll mention it. They're definitely going to. They may mention it every night. But here's my thing, and this is my struggle right now. It's opportunity cost. Before this tour got delayed due to the pandemic, there was better opportunity costs for DMB shows. A lot of shows didn't sell out, and a lot of venues had a bunch of overpriced platinum seats that were literally just aisle seats close to the back of the pavilion. And then the pandemic hit, and then we lost music as we know it, and now the demand has gone back up. And as much as many people have struggled, and I know people personally who have struggled financially, there's a lot of people that saved a lot of money because they didn't have to drive to work. Their business was able to be done from home, that some people moved out of cities like New York City to here in Connecticut or down to Jersey or somewhere else. Some people made moves to save them money. They weren't going to all this stuff. They couldn't go and buy drinks at the bar. They couldn't go and do different things that took their finances, their entertainment budget. And people got money. Dead and Company, they do a Dave and Tim type thing, same venue in Mexico. And Dead and Company sold out one weekend so fast, they added a second weekend to the Dead and Company Riviera Maya Cancun type thing where Dave and Tim play. It's a full band. And I'm pretty sure Dave and Tim may have to do the same thing. Now, it's not full band, but Dave and Tim, this thing's going to sell out because people have been saving and waiting for this Mexico trip for Dave and Tim. And I believe it's going to be the same thing for this year. So I say all that to say that the opportunity cost right now for me is not good. I just was looking at rentals for Washington State because you have to drive to the gorge. You can't Uber to the gorge, right? And the rental cars are outrageous. I'm going to have to see if my job will give me a discount because I could pay for it. I have the funds, but it doesn't, to me, it's not like they've canceled Bella Fleck and the Flecktones, or they can't make it. All right. And I understand, right? Things change. It's a year later. Their thoughts may be they don't want to travel this year. They want to wait and do socially distant shows or just take some time aside. They're an older band as well. And they're in that mid-tier that a lot of the mid-tier acts are doing social distance or nothing. But here's the thing. There's no Bella Fleck and the Flecktones. We got Robert Randolph, but really, I'm sorry. Like, he's talented. Bro, dude is talented. But the songs he contributes to, I don't really care for. I don't want a Louisiana Bayou. Like, oh, man. Like, last year, 2019, I was so excited to see Cortez the Killer with Warren Haynes. This year, what's the highlight going to be? Randolph with, the highlight guest, Robert Randolph with Louisiana Bayou, which has 3 of the most boring verses in the world. The jam is pretty cool, but I don't know. And live streams, you're going to look at, for live streams, Instagram Live and Facebook. Facebook got traction while Periscope was building popularity. Facebook decided to have Facebook Live. And on DMB Family and some other groups, you saw Facebook Live streams. That's going to be probably number 1. Number 2 is Instagram Live. There is a DMB community there as well. But you're going to look at Facebook and Instagram Live as the live streaming from the venue for people. Now that Periscope has been essentially bought out or shut down. Because that's the funny thing now about this tech world. You start doing something special, you start making money, you get bought out or you get canceled out. because Facebook and Google and everyone else, they're gonna but hey, y'all have something too good. We're gonna buy it or shut it down. So don't worry about the light. You're just gonna have to shift over to Facebook. That's your go-to. DMB families or people in every direction. I have been kicked off of people in every direction, so because I had made some comments about the arrogance of DMB fans online after they didn't get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I was like, guys, stop. The world doesn't revolve around DMB, and that people who got in were talented acts, and it's a trophy. It's a trophy. Don't put so much weight on it. Yeah, but people in every direction, I'm banned from it. And hey, that's their decision. Look, I was very thank you, Granny. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. And as I've always told you, even offline, I hope you are doing well in Indiana with everything going on with this pandemic, and hope your grandkids and children are well as well. Yeah, I was banned because now, to be fair, it's a private group, and I made comments on private group comments. So listen, that was their decision. I was turned up. I was on a whole nother level. But the reason I was so upset, what triggers me about DMB fans is, yes, we can love this band, right? We love this band, right? I have my whole page is centered around live music, but it's mostly DMB. But the arrogance, like there were fans saying, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I was making a fair point. But I think that the fact that I took stuff from a private group, and that's not my group, so that's their call. But just the arrogance of, they need, like someone said, they need DMB to fill up the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony. Are you kidding me? One act, if they just had one act every year inducted, they would sell out Madison Square Garden or the rock, like the ballroom in Cleveland where they have, because what they rotate is Rock and Roll Hall of Fame will have it in Madison Square Garden some years, and sometimes it's in Cleveland in a smaller venue. And like it was like, DMB and this and that. And I was like, listen, Pink Floyd did not get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame their first try. Rush, okay? Rush. Rest in peace, Neil Peart. I love Rush. Rush took years to get it. And I know, yes, the fan vote, they were number one. But anyway, listen, I don't like when the arrogance of DMB fans, because this is why we get a bad rap, because of some of the arrogance and lack of just awareness of the world around us. And I voted too. But it's just like, listen, this comes down to mostly, right. It comes down, the fan vote is only one ballot. There's hundreds of other ballots of other people, and award shows, medals, all that stuff. I've never, if they get it, good for them, but I've never based my life off these, if they get a medal or not. Same thing with the Grammys. I don't hold weight to the Grammys. They do make some good decisions, but many times they don't. Nas, one of the best rappers of all time. I've seen him live, and he's a huge part of my of my adolescence. He got his first Grammy this year. He made one of the best albums of all time in hip hop, Illmatic. And he just got his first Grammy this year, just like Leo, and he having to wait for the Oscar. Like I don't hold weight to these awards in the halls, right? And the band doesn't get. The band loves seeing us. They're honored to be mentioned just in the breath with other people. I mean, yeah, it'll be nice if they're recognized, but ultimately, again, it comes down to. This is a institution that makes their own decisions. There's the Baseball Hall of Fame, for instance. They've had like no doubt Hall of Famers, like the best baseball players of all time. Someone will vote against them just because that was just something that was done back in the day for no reason. Like they will vote. Mariano Rivera was the first player to not get any negative votes. Derek Jeter. Someone voted against Derek. Like Red Sox fans actually respect Derek Jeter. But some writer, just to get attention, voted against Derek Jeter. Didn't vote for Derek Jeter, so he wasn't a unanimous Hall of Famer. This is everyone, like pretty much every Hall of Famer except Mariano Rivera has had someone not vote for them as just like a hazing or rites of passage type thing. Yeah, I'm a Yankees fan. Yeah. If you look at my YouTube, picture, that's me. It's hard to see. That's me behind the dugout at Fenway Park with a Yankee shirt and a Rush shirt, a Yankees hat and a Rush shirt. As actually a very. I mean, my wife changed her name today. Sorry to hear that. Hey, the Yankees are coming back. I don't pay attention to baseball until the hockey and basketball have titles. But I wait until like after the playoffs for hockey and basketball. But the Yankees are only 3 games behind. The Red Sox lost. Seager almost hit a cycle on the Sox today, and the Yankees won. Yeah, it was the Indians, but we won. So the Yankees are only 3 games behind the Red Sox right now. I never watch baseball this early. I go to baseball games in April and May. Like I've gone to Yankees Sox games this early, but I don't pay attention much to baseball as far as physically watching the games because it's such a long season. And the Red Sox, there's been years where the Yankees are a soccer team. Very funny. Now they're the most winningest sports franchise in professional sports history. They have American sports history. They have 27 World Series. So they're look them up. Do a Wikipedia. Pretty good. They've done well. But anyway, the opportunity cost. That's funny. I had soccer. I thought basketball. But the Red Sox do the same thing. The Red Sox payroll, essentially, the funny thing is when I was a kid, right? The Red Sox would say, Red Sox fans, because I grew up in Connecticut, so there's Yankees and Red Sox fans in central Connecticut in my high school, middle school, elementary school. The Red Sox used to say, oh, the Yankees buy their players. First of all, the Red Sox have always been a major market team that spends good money on their payroll. They're not the Tampa Bay Rays or the Oakland Athletics playing Moneyball. The Red Sox have bought their players too. And then the Red Sox raised their spending. The Yankees actually said, you know what? Hal and Hank Steinbrenner said, look, we're going to cut payroll. We're spending too much on the now that our father's given us the keys to the car, we're not going to spend as much. The Red Sox have literally bought think about you guys spent money on Pablo Sandoval. The Price deal. I remember Price. Price used to be when the Red Sox were about to sweep the Yankees. I remember going to Sunday Night Baseball twice where the Red Sox overpaid for Price and we were going to get swept. And 2 times Price blew a lead and the Yankees won the 3rd game. One time it was at Yankee Stadium. One time it was at Fenway. So you guys have been paying for your players. And then actually the one player you actually didn't blow your money on was Mookie Betts, who was a franchise player, which is the funny thing. So that right, they never spent before the 90s, but at the same time, now the Red Sox are spending money. And the Red Sox fans have essentially become like Yankees fans because they've won a couple of titles. That whole struggle, which, I felt the curse, man. I felt bad for some Red Sox fans, even though I was rooting against those Nomar Garcia-Parra teams. And was it Mo Vaughn was on some of those teams. And Pedro used to destroy us. It was like Pedro was killer. Anyway, the Red Sox fans are like Yankees fans in the 90s right now. I mean, there's so much like, oh man, we suck. We're this, we're that, we're in time. Oh, we got to spend more. We got to spend more and more and more. Like the Red Sox, I mean, you guys have won a bunch of titles since 2004. So the Red Sox fans are like Yankees fans, are like they were that pride and that, oh, we got this and that, and oh, we got to do this every year. Like they've forgotten what it was like to be a team that for 86 years, my dad's a Red Sox fan. my dad's dad, who's still living, is a Yankees fan. And the story is my grandfather was born in Virginia, spent summers in New York City with his aunts, and would go to Yankees games in the 50s, the 40s and 50s. And so my grandfather then took a preaching job or went to seminary in the Boston area when my dad was 7. So my dad grew up watching the Bruins and the Red Sox. And my grandfather did an intervention and took them from Boston and New York to go to some Yankees games in the I think it was like at the like early 70s. But my dad became a Red Sox fan. He was not changing his tune. So when I was born, my grandfather from birth, our connection was I had to be a Yankees fan. And we used to, that was our connection. It still is our connection to this day, is the Yankees fan. So my dad's a Red Sox fan. I'm a Yankees fan. And my grandfather, his dad, is a Yankees fan. That's the story of the men of the Concert Vid 34 family there. But it's always fun. I love going to the games. The rivalry is what makes me tune into baseball. If there was no Yankees Red Sox rivalry, I probably wouldn't watch baseball. I've watched certain years, not anymore because I cut my cords for cable. But when I was a kid, I would watch probably. Oh, I heard about that, Granny. I will keep you in the prayers tonight. Okay, I pray. I don't just pray on Sunday, but I will definitely keep you in my prayers for that because we want you to be 100% for August for Deer Creek and wherever shows you go to. But I will keep you in prayer tonight and even tomorrow and continuously as you go into your surgery on Tuesday. But we really hope and pray that you're able to recover in the injury. I actually was just talking to a friend when I went for a jog today, listening to Live Tracks 8, the Alpine Valley 04 show. I ran into someone who was biking, and it was an old coworker of mine, and he actually had a hip replacement. And this was like his second bike ride where he feels 100%. So we know, just like my friend who, my coworker, who was one of my managers, who's back on his bike after a hip replacement and recovery. And he was just during COVID, he was really, really wanted to get back on his bike. We know, just like him, you will be okay. You're going to be 100%. You're going to be able to pound down those drinks for the tailgate at Deer Creek. Will come August. Take your time on the recovery. We'll be here. We'll talk to you. We'll share stories. Check out my live streams on Saturdays if you're still recovering next week. But anyway, the opportunity cost, and we'll talk more about this as the tour goes on. Right now, like for instance, to buy the Gorge, I know I can get tickets because it's the Gorge, right? I can get lawn seats, and I like the lawn. But for instance, for Deer Creek, maybe Granny could hook me up or get me something for seats, and we could talk about that. But I still may not go because if I'm gonna go to the Gorge, I'm not gonna go to Deer Creek this year. But the opportunity cost, I don't have tickets for Guilford, New Hampshire. I don't have tickets for Mansfield, Mass. Before the pandemic hit, my goal was to actually show on my page. I knew that these ticket prices that Live Nation was jacking up, they were going to go down. Because Live Nation, remember, before the pandemic, Live Nation had all these platinum seats, and they've done this every year, but it was just on steroids. Are you in Australia? Are you the fan from Australia? Is that why? I want to say that's the case. Okay, awesome. Well, not awesome, but obviously, and I feel for international fans like you because that's tough to not be able to have to travel, and I know that's it's a long. You've waited to see what was going to happen, and you're not able to get over to the States. But hopefully they'll be back to you guys at the Byron Blues Fest and the other festivals they do out there down under in Australia. So say what time is it in Australia? It's probably the morning, right? Yeah, there's a fan, the awesome fan who kind of tagged us all. What time is it in Australia right now? Because it's probably like what? Because you guys are just behind what Fiji and New Zealand. 12:30. Okay, so it's already tomorrow, right? Because it's like Australia, New Zealand, and then Fiji, and then you get to the international date line or Guam. I think Guam's over there too. Can't remember where Guam is. Guam's over there, but you guys are at right. You guys are like the first people to get the day. So yeah, 12:30 on Sunday. So you're already in tomorrow. We're still in Saturday over here, but I guess that works out because it's noontime out there. It's not overnight. I haven't been to Australia, but I've been to South Africa. That's probably the furthest I've flown, and the only thing further than South Africa is Australia, at least from a direct flight. I know some of the Indonesian and Philippine islands, you may have to travel. It may take you over a day to get to some of those islands because of the logistics, but I know Australia here in the future. If you live on the West Coast, Australia is closer than South Africa. But I actually, in '07, I went to South Africa, and that was I think it was like a 21-hour flight. And then we took a domestic flight from Joburg to Cape Town. So I know, yeah, Australia is one of the further places from us, unless you're on the West Coast, and then like LA and them, they get 6 less hours to fly down there. Oh, you're in the East Coast. Why do I feel like? Oh no, is Sydney on the? See, I'm not looking at them. I used to look at maps when I was a kid, like just stare at globes like for like 3 hours. I feel like isn't Sydney on? Is that the West Coast? Oh no, the East Coast. It's the reverse down there. Is Sydney? I think Sydney's on the East Coast, right? Brisbane, Queensland. Okay. And then you guys have the thing with Australia. I know a lot of it's okay. It is East Coast. A lot of Australia is not inhabitable. So there's just a huge, like you have the outback and you have so much land that's not habitable by people. Cause I watch a lot of, I'm a huge geography nerd and I was looking up stuff, but oh, right. Perth is only major West Coast, right? But yeah, I'll have maybe one day I'll go down there, down under. But I've heard great things. I know some people who have been out there. But all right, but if you guys, I really hope you guys can come back next week. Oh yeah, 90% of the people on the coast. Okay, that's what, yeah, because I saw a video. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because it's the outback is just not habitable. So there's just very, very little population. And that's kind of like our north, the West Coast, the north central west, like Idaho, Wyoming, only 20. Okay, so you guys only have 27 million, yeah. But like our like Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and even parts of the mountainous portions of Colorado are just not habitable. But most of America can be habitable. Our issue is oh, you have 9 weeks. Okay, so you got to do the PT and all that. So okay, but yeah, if you guys can all come back, we'll continue the conversation. We'll talk more about the tickets, more about the pricing. But essentially, I'll tell you, I just right now I could go to like I could financially go to a bunch of shows. I just don't want to spend the money on going to all of these shows with how high the prices are. I believe next year I could find better deals because, and we'll talk more about that next week. There, but actually, the problem with America, I'll end on this. The problem with America is we can physically build more, but the more we're building in America, the more we're ruining our environment. For instance, in Houston, what they found is the prairie land in Houston that wasn't, they didn't have houses there on, 20, 30 years ago, 40, 50, 60 years ago, for sure. A lot of the prairie land, when it would rain, it would suck up the water. But because we're building so much, because we can physically put pavement down and we can physically put property. And I've been to Houston. I went to the Houston rodeo and actually saw a DMB fire dancer out there. But the problem with America is we can physically build more and more. And as they build more highways, we have some of the best highway systems in the world. And I can tell you, I haven't been everywhere, but I've been to South Africa, Guatemala. I've been to some of the islands in the Caribbean. And our highway systems are amazing. But because they're building in prairie land, the prairies in Houston suck up the water. It's flat. It's just like, it's amazing how flat Houston is. It used to suck up the water, but now it's pavement and the pavement is not sucking up the water. So when they had Harvey was not a bad storm. I was working in insurance when that happened, and we were like, oh, we're going to get all these claims, all this stuff. But the thing that made Harvey bad is engineers warned them not to build in parts of Houston, because if there was a storm, it would make it, these places would just be underwater and it would worsen a flood. And this was decades ago. They warned, and Texas like, don't mess with Texas. We're going to build here. And they build all this stuff. And now any sort of storm system, it could be a tropical storm. If it sits in Houston, they're going to have flooding. And then even now, they're like, no, don't mess with Texas. We're going to make this cheap infrastructure for electricity. And lo and behold, they did not winterize their windmills. Now, listen, windmills can work in the north, they can work at the Arctic Circle. They have windmills in the Arctic Circle, but they're winterized. But the Texas energy companies were so cheap, they didn't invest in winterizing their infrastructure. And North Texas gets ice and snow almost every year. They get ice, if not snow. So they should have did all that. But I'm a huge geography and climate. I'm not as much in the climate, but the geography flows into the climate. So I do a lot of listening to people. The rodeo, I did not go to a barbecue cook-off. I was down there for the rodeo, and I actually saw 2 days of the rodeo. One night, Luke Bryan performed, which was interesting just because of how, to see a show like him, you hear about him, and why is he so popular? And obviously, he's a pretty good-looking dude, and that's why. But I saw him, and I saw Darius Rucker. So they have the rodeo, and then they have a concert, a 30-minute concert. No, it's about an hour concert. Sorry, not 30 minutes. Everyone from Pitbull to Miranda Lambert to Blink-182 to Darius Rucker and Luke Bryan. Right. They're not listening to the experts, but there's just such a push. People, the thing is, the southern part of America, and this is like, they've had a more Wild West feel, because these places, like Miami, was built out of a jungle. Miami was a jungle. Miami was actually not incorporated until the 1900s. Like that's how late these places were really inhabited in large amounts. So they've always had a Wild West. We do what we want here. And for the most part, it was okay. Like they had that right. That's what makes America beautiful, is you have different guidelines and restrictions people can do. But now the climate is catching up to all that. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. But yeah, what's a good family plan? Coast and desert and land. Oh, okay. So you guys got a little bit of both. That sounds like, see, the way you're describing. Oh yeah, I love Key West. I've only been there once, but I want to go back. I loved traveling. I did a bus trip and got to actually enjoy. Instead of driving, I got to actually look at all the bridges and stuff. But the way you describe Australia, it sounds like It sounds like South Africa, where you can have tropical, like Cape Town, South Africa is tropical, but Johannesburg, where I went for the last part of my trip, in Pretoria and some other places inland, is desert. So you have within you can drive to the coast of South Africa and it's 75 degrees year round. Rain and everything comes. They don't really have, they had a drought a couple years ago, but that was it. But they do get rain, and it's not 90 degrees. It's beautiful tropical dry heat, but not even dry heat. It's just 75 degrees year round. But then you have the dry heat desert, which reminds me of Las Vegas. Going there in the summer of '03, the Johannesburg reminded me of Las Vegas, where it's this dry heat desert. It's really sub-desert because it's sub-Kalahari, but it really has that desert feel. It got up to the 80s there in 85, and it can get up, the heat, sun can shine bright there. So you got that diversity of land, where here in the States, just to give you an idea, you probably know if you've been to DMB shows out here. I don't know if you have DMB 83 size, but in the States, it's humid in Queensland. Yeah, because in the southern part of the United States, the southeastern part of the United States is extremely humid. Extremely humid. Like, you wake up and it says 75 degrees and it feels like 85 or 90 degrees. In parts of Georgia, I've been in August, where you have the Pacific Northwest is more of a desert dry, where it can be 100 degrees. I've been to Vegas where it's been 115 degrees, but it feels like 95 degrees in Atlanta. It's an interesting combo there. But anyway, let's continue this next week. Thank you guys for coming on. And if you guys can, same thing, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you guys can come on, then next week we'll continue the conversation there. And thank you guys again for the support. I love the conversation. As you can tell, you talk about something random, I will go on for 45 minutes, but I enjoy connecting, and I hope that hopefully we can in time. I know I'm going to be seeing DMB Mamas in DB Mamas. I will see you at Mohegan. I look forward to meeting you. And if your husband's coming too, look for whoever's coming up with you, your friends. I look forward to seeing you guys in Connecticut in November. I will show you guys around. I know you're from the New England as well. Originally, your late father was out here, DMB Mamas, in Boston. And I know you kind of know Rhode Island. You're from Rhode Island, but I will show you what's been going on here since you've left. And we'll, have a good time at Mohegan. And then Granny, we're gonna meet up. If it's not, Lord willing, if it's not this year, next year I'm gonna figure something out, because I need to get the Deer Creek experience. I've heard great things about the venue and about the fans there, and that's the only part of the country. Well, I've never been down south for DMB, but I've been out west and I've been up in the Northeast and Mid Atlantic, but I have not been down south. Well, I mean, down in the Midwest where you have the Alpine. I hope if they really bring back Alpine, I would love to go to try to do Alpine and Deer Creek if possible. Even if it's 2 different weekends, I got to fly out twice. I would love to next year try to get that. But I'll keep you updated, Granny, because like I said, I really don't know what I'm doing. I need to hear more from the band. I may not go to watch. If I don't go to the Gorge, I'm going to try to go to Indy, because that's a weekend I can fly out. I can fly out there. Newport Island, Mass, Barrington, Rhode Island. It is the 30th. It is 30 year, but we'll see. We'll really have to see what's going on. But that's all I got for today. It's your boy Conserviz34. Continue to follow me on Twitter. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell your friends to come. And I know, thank you to you guys have been retweeting and reposting some of this stuff to other people, and I really appreciate that. I saw the fan that Jane likes, and DMB Mamas, you guys have been retweeting and just getting the word out. And Yeah, that's it. I gotta go. It's time to wrap up the night. I'll see you guys. Peace.